I'm being joined by my friend Zach. Zach's gonna join me on the show, and this is the first time I've been live on YouTube. YouTube.com/Corey Castle. Zac Brown. Zac Brown.
What's up, brother?
What it is, man? How you been?
Not too bad, man. We just got done wrapping up an episode of Real Men Talk Shit, which will go up literally tomorrow, which is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And have people asking when you're going to be on already, just from the live viewers and everything else. So.
Yeah, I was just saying to you, dude, I've done your podcast what feels like 100 times. I know it's probably been once or twice, but like
it's been, I think, 6 times.
Yeah, but I mean, I know it hasn't been a crazy amount, but so many times, and you've done my podcast 0 times. So here we are.
And now I'm the first live show. Look at that.
Yeah, and here we are, you being the first live show and the first episode of Evolving with Corey Castle that I've sat down in this chair since October. The beginning of October was the last show I actually recorded, but I didn't even schedule that one. Like I've fallen off on all of my stuff. Like a lot of my stuff I've been like neglecting to do. Like my room's a mess. My life is all scattered all around, and I'm working 2 jobs, and I'm hustling, and I'm never here. And when I'm here, I'm just like vegged, and I don't want to do anything. So that's, partly I know saying to you that there is a level of me that I go, I know I love me.
Yep.
But I've been neglecting to respect me.
Yeah.
And that some of that discouragement that comes from putting all this work out. And let's say the last 10 weeks, I was 10 weeks ahead at one point. So that's,
you were even farther than that ahead. You were almost 4 or 5 months ahead.
Right. I was
for a little bit.
Yeah, I was way ahead, and I was like feeling really good. And then I just was like, oh, well, I'll take a break. So I didn't record any episodes for a long time.
Yep.
And I can't feel bad about it. You know what I mean? Like I have to kind of have some grace with myself and some patience, and not worry about the people that may or may not be listening.
Exactly.
Maybe there's one who really cares.
In all honesty, man, I told you this before, and I told you this, and I'll tell you this 1,000 times. You are charismatic enough to carry a show.
Yeah.
Finding somebody that holds you accountable is the hardest fucking thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm so happy I actually took the time to find people that I could add as co-hosts and be like, dudes, if I need something fucking done, I can look at them and just be like, I need this fucking done. If you need help, ask, but I don't have to do everything. And
I think you were kind of trying to lean on me a little bit on that too. And I was kind of feeling bad for seeming like I just kept backing off more, because I was like, I don't want to let you down. I don't want to overcommit to something that I might not have time for. And
definitely.
So I mean, but through you, I've met Dylan, and I love that kid. He talks to me all the time. So I'm grateful to you, and I'm always super fascinated by the resources that people have and the tissue that connects them. So I'm grateful to you for being somebody who wanted to. I mean, and you might not even know that your messages mean something to me, like they do. I'm always like, this guy, man, awesome. I'm excited to hear from you every single time.
It's one of those people where I know I'm like, Corey, dude, if I fucking message Corey, he'll be like, yo, what's up, brother?
Right.
First 2 seconds, I know that what's up, brother is going to come. I know everything's going to be okay. It's like, I left you on good terms last time. It's going to be good terms this time. And it's fucking wonderful.
Well,
it's just nice to have those conversations every now and then.
I'd hoped that I'd continue to be the type of friend who wouldn't ever have bad fallings out with my friends.
Yeah.
I just, that's not a thing I ever wanted to be. I talked about him a little bit on your show, but my friend Rick, my best friend Rick,
yeah,
him and I we're him and I. We go back so long, but at like the kind of in the first like 5 or 6 years of our friendship, we my brother and sister are a year and 2 years ahead of me, right? So we always shared like the same group of friends sometimes, and sometimes they would share the same group of friends, and I would just be very peripheral to that. But Rick and I were hanging out with them and their group of friends because Rick liked their friends a lot, and I liked hanging out with Rick. So at one point, my brother and sister had this bad falling out with a whole group of their friends, a whole chunk of them. And I guess they got into a fight where they agreed that they were never, ever, ever going to speak again. And they weren't going to be friends. And I'm like, I remember being in the passenger side of Rick's car and looking at him and going, can we agree that we'll never do that? Like, let's never do that. Let's always be friends. Never, ever have a moment where like we're too mad at each other to tell each other that we love each other and that we mean it.
It's weird because like I never had a friend like that I could rely on my entire childhood and teenage years and everything else.
Oh yeah, he wasn't my friend until I was in my 20s.
But it was always random, different individuals and stuff like that. And like I could never piece together that actual true friend. So like when I get involved with somebody and I start talking to them, I get very, very close and attached to them. And obviously you saw this. As soon as I saw that you were a cool dude, I was like, we're starting a business together. we're going to do this, and it's going to be the greatest thing in the fucking world. Because that's who I am. It's like, I'm just one of those very aggressive.
I mean, that's something that, it can be perceived as needy, I guess. It could be kind of like a turnoff in some ways. Like, I mean, I've witnessed it from other, just like with friends of mine who've been like too needy, who will just push women away, and they're like, whoa, I don't need all this quick, stop, So how often does that happen, or has that happened for you when it comes to friends or anything?
To get pushed away or to, not very often. No. Normally I'll give people time. I'll see if they're actually a person that I can actually get along with,
right,
and wants to be around. And then once I feel like they want to be around, then it's like, okay, you're involved now. You're a part of this now, and there's nothing that either of us are going to do about it. It's just going to be what it is. Like, obviously, how many times have you been on my show? It's like, obviously we get along pretty well,
right? Yeah. Because it's really funny. I think, and I'd hope anybody who'd want me as a guest on their show, which I am always very, very happy to do. I actually sometimes prefer to just be the guest and
not
see where it's
everything,
right, to see where it's going. Sometimes I'd just rather be the guest. Sometimes happy to be a guest on your show, happy to be a guest on anyone's show, but I will not share it or anything. But it's not that I'm not sharing it on purpose. It's that like I will have forgotten to do it. So if I'm ever a guest on your show, please do not forget to ask me to share that stuff. Okay. Because there's
too many things going on.
Yes. And please,
it's weird.
Never hesitate to ask me to share something.
Dealing with bigger people now, because I'm the producer of Painkiller already, one of the largest podcasts in the world. It's weird watching who shares and who doesn't.
Right.
And like, you can tell if there's somebody who's going to be, I'm too big for that, or I just don't have time. And it's really interesting to see the difference in people and the difference in what people do and what people and who they are and that kind of stuff. You really do see who is genuine and who isn't.
I've had I don't want to say a bunch, but I've had a good amount of big name guests on my show. And I feel like asking them to share it somehow feels like it's over asking, and then they won't share it. And I'm like, well, it was fun though, right? Was it not super fun?
Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
What prevented you from giving a good old little share ski to that.
Exactly. Like, what's the point in not just saying, "Hey, man, I had a fun time. Thank you."
Mm. I mean, I will absolutely share with someone that I had a fun time. Yeah, for sure. But
Exactly.
when it comes to sharing it, I don't feel like my followers or my following on any social media will care or will bite the, you know what I mean? Bite the bait, bite into the currency to give effort to that. And that makes me discouraged. That makes me sad. It's not that I'm not doing it because I don't think you're a big enough deal. The general you, not you specifically, but it's that like I'm discouraged somehow by the fact that, you
don't know if you're worth something because
like somehow I'm not clickbaitable enough, or I just somehow will like wrap my gosh darn worth up into some stuff that my gosh darn worth don't need to be all wrapped up in.
No, and like you have the availability, and I told you this, and I'll tell you this on the show too. You have the availability to do some amazing fucking things. You have the charisma. You have the availability to do it. You just got to do it. Like there's very, very few people that actually have the ability to talk like me and you do. There's very, very few people that actually have the guts to put their life on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. Like there's very few people that have both of those put together, and you have both. It's not being like, okay, is this the right format? Is this the right way to do it? It could be the complete wrong format. It could be the complete wrong way to do it. But in the grand scheme of things, if you never try, you're never going to make it. Hell, this show could not be called Evolving with Corey Castle next year, and it could have 2 co-hosts, and then you don't have everything on you.
Well,
it could blow up. You know what I'm saying?
I guess for a little while I was doing this. I was doing episodes where it would be, and also when I started, this never had a video element to it.
Yeah,
this had never had a video element to it. It was always that I had 2 microphones and a guest in front of me, or I had 3 microphones and a co-host, which would be my friend. Yeah. And I would call it Evolving with Corey Castle and Friend. Those would be Evolving with Corey Castle and Friend episodes. But it was, I was giving up a lot of it. I was giving up a lot of like, okay, well, stop trying to be the star of the show. Right. Like,
exactly.
And, it's funny to think about, because when I said that it was always like 2 microphones, at one point it was just an app on my iPad that was recording episodes. Like it was an app on my phone. Like it was just the resourcefulness to make sure that I was putting out something that I'd want to listen to if I wasn't me.
Yeah.
Conversation. That's where I feel like maneuvering a conversation for me is the type of conversation that I'd want to hear people having.
Exactly.
I'd want that to be a show I'd want to listen to.
And that's where Real Men Talk Shit came from, is like, I wanted the availability for stories to be out there about my life, about other people's lives, about people that they want to hear about lives, because there's a lot of shit that everybody goes through and experiences that most people think are one-offs. Most people don't starve themselves so that way their parents eat and their sisters eat. But I can tell those stories.
Right.
I can sit here and talk about growing up in the ghetto in the middle of fucking upstate New York and talk about how fucking hard it was. My best friend's brother got convicted of murder, and like that entire family went into drugs and everything else. And like, there's a lot of shit. There's a lot of shit and stories that everybody can tell. Right. And it's just actually being able to portray those stories and get somebody to talk and getting somebody to experience those genuine experiences and being able to articulate them isn't something everybody can do.
I think Zach, you might have listened to some episodes of my podcast before, where how important, how that I've mentioned how important it is to have on the record these stories, have on the record these moments, because this is such a timestamp. Like I'm gonna listen to this back and be like, man, I was really going through some shit and acting like I had some problems that I didn't, I could have easily gotten through or something. And that's kind of like that. I mean, that's sort of a like a linchpin for a lot of it. Because I remember when my old friend called me, the Corey Castle and friend, when that friend called me, he called me to say, hey man, I just took a bunch of pills and I'm standing in front of the train tracks and I'm gonna jump.
Yeah.
And I was like, I remember saying to him right then, come here and let's talk about it right now. And let's talk about how in 6 months we'll be laughing about this.
Yeah.
And now he's the stepdad to 3 kids, and just him and his girl just bought a house together. Like that's like not the guy that called me saying he was about to jump in front of a train.
And it's not hard to tell the story. It's not hard to go through and be like, and be vulnerable. The hardest part is actually owning up and saying, yeah, I fucked up. Yeah, I did this. Yeah, I did that. I've attempted suicide twice. Once was in the past year. And my friends and the people that I built around me are the reason that I'm still here.
I think that you and I talked about this already, but since now we're on the record, would you feel comfortable telling me the story?
Which one?
The first one, the first attempt. Both, chronologically walk me through these attempts.
So I recently broke up with my girlfriend of 6 months. She cheated on me. I was 14. It was my first actual real girlfriend kind of thing. And I felt really down. Like absolutely down. But that's not where it starts. Where it started was when I was 4 years old. I apologize. Kids' toys are moving for some fucking reason.
Santa Claus.
Exactly.
It was Santa Claus.
My sister was a twin. And her twin passed away.
Mm.
So when that happened, everybody kind of got down. My mom started struggling with life and kind of making sure everything was taken care of and all that stuff. And then my grandmother passed away. And my grandmother at that point was the person who was raising me, who was taking care of me, and really kind of the person that was there. She passes away.
Mm-hmm.
And me and my mom never really passed either of those deaths. It kind of compounded throughout my entire childhood, to where like I always felt like I wasn't enough. I always felt like I wasn't worth it. They were worrying about what he would have done or what he would be when I'm right here and I'm available. And I'm a pretty damn good kid. I'm extremely intelligent. I genuinely understand a lot of stuff. Just got dealt a very, very shitty hand.
Right. And so you're in the midst of comparing yourself to someone who's no longer here.
Who is never here.
And
he was alive for about 30 minutes. It wasn't even like it was a teenager who passed away. It was a baby who passed away after 30 minutes.
We didn't get a chance to know them, to know what kind of person they'd be. And that hypothetical made you go, oh, you're idealizing and romanticizing this kid that doesn't exist, when I'm here and I'm your son and I'm alive. Come value me and celebrate me.
Exactly.
And,
sorry. So a lot of years go by, and it's just very, very negative life of struggling. Lots of people quitting jobs, lots of money not coming into the household, lots of very, very little food, and just living in low rent housing and the projects and shitty locations. And I get to about 14. I have sex for the first time, and I get consumed by this girl. And when I say consumed by this girl, I mean like she was my everything, because it was my first actual person that I became attached to. it was like a reason I felt like it was okay to live almost. And she ended up wrapping her legs around and kissing a guy that I grew up with. And I lost my shit. So I break up with her in August. And in December, on my sister's birthday, I walk into my sister's room and I'm like, hey, today's going to be the last day you see me. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And I walk out of her room and I go to what I thought was going to be my last minute, my last moment. Grab a razor blade and I slit my wrist. And then the weirdest fucking feeling in the world happened. It was like, not today. Blood gushing down my arm, not today. Not doing this. I can't do this. It's not going to be okay. I'm not done yet.
What made that feeling happen?
No fucking idea. It was just a weird, like, it's almost like I'm living on borrowed time because I've already tried to die. Like, I'm not supposed to be here anymore. After you slit your wrist, you're supposed to die.
Right.
So I run to the closet. My mom was a nurse, so we always had medical supplies and everything else. So I grabbed gauze and I grabbed an ace bandage and I wrapped up my wrist. I had a cut about this big on my wrist.
Mm-hmm.
And I wore hoodies and an ace bandage for about 6 months. Just that way I didn't feel uncomfortable with myself. I didn't feel like
you had to try to
I was
explain.
broken.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to explain anything. I didn't want to do anything. I just didn't want that to be me.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be Zach. I didn't want to be that broken kid that was there all the time.
Mm-hmm. So that was when you were 14, you said?
Yeah, I was 14 years old.
And how old were you when the second attempt happened?
So I can only go into this a little bit.
Yes, please don't overexpose yourself in any way.
Yes. Yeah. So I was late 20s and going through extreme life peril, and a few people in the chat know, but other than that, nobody really genuinely understands what has gone on, and I can't go into it, otherwise I would. Right. But going through extreme life problems, and I just felt like it was done. Like I was done. I can't do this by myself. I can't continue on living. I don't want to. So I started drinking, and I'm on Adderall and Abilify to deal with this stuff now.
Mm.
Because they figured out my ADHD was causing me to go through manic spells of depression. So like now I'm not taking it anymore because I felt like it was curbing my creativity and my ability to speak and that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But then I was struggling with being able to get my thoughts straight. I wasn't able to get a thought together because my mind was racing so fucking fast. I couldn't even speak correctly. I couldn't get my thought out. I couldn't raise my kids. I couldn't do what I needed to do. Mm-hmm. And I just started drinking, and I was sitting on the floor hoping that, I just passed out. Mm-hmm. What more can you do?
So you over-served yourself your prescription medication?
No, I wouldn't do that. I was drinking a shit ton, and I was contemplating attempting cutting my wrist again, but I didn't.
Okay. Well, when you were drinking, now is that something you just like cut out of your life, like cold turkey? You don't drink?
I don't
anymore?
ever drink. I don't ever drink. This was just impulse of like, I can't fucking do this anymore.
Right.
I'm feeling like I couldn't get the feels under control. I couldn't get the thoughts under control. I couldn't actually wrap my head around what was going on. And like, this would be so much easier to tell if I could actually speak the entire fucking thing, because it's a crazy fucking story to begin with, but hopefully I'm able to tell it at some point.
Well, we're gonna get to a point where this is the timestamp where you can't talk about it, and then we'll have a timestamp when you can. Say see part 1 of the story.
Yeah, see part 1, see part 2.
This will be part 1 of see part 1.
But like, and then my daughter walked downstairs.
Mm.
She's like, "Daddy, can't sleep." Ava woke up, who's the baby.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, can't even do this right. And she saved my life.
Mm-hmm.
Because what the fuck else could have happened that night? Who the fuck knows?
Right.
I stopped drinking. I got up. I sung the baby back to sleep, and I went to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt fucking 10 times better the next morning.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was able to open my phone and see my kids. I was able to walk down the hallway and see my kids. And that feeling of like, okay, I was weak, but I'm okay. Mm-hmm. It's weird having ADHD and actually having to go through and take care of it.
Do you know that ADD, the word, and this is, I'm kind of being vulnerable here, and I don't think I've ever talked about it on the show before, but the whole idea, just saying it triggers me somehow. Like it automatically, like because I got diagnosed with ADD when I was like 5 or 6 or something.
Yeah.
And then I had to be in special ed. And then the excuse kept getting made for me. ADD. Oh, well, James has ADD. So, it's going to, so this is the excuse why I can't do and why it limits me and all this limitation on me due to this ADD. And then when I hear about people who are diagnosed with it way later and they're like making new discoveries on something they didn't know, somehow the back of my competitive mind goes like, oh yeah, well yeah, I've been dealing with my whole life. Well, welcome to the party. Like and it's like, why am I turning something into a competition when there is no competition? Everybody has separate struggles on everything. So you can't have this hill be your hill that you push everybody off of. Let everybody, there's no hill. This is all flat ground for us all to coexist on.
Yeah. I actually ended up going through and having my daughter diagnosed and medicated just because I was like, if you really are struggling the way I struggled in high school and elementary school, I don't want you to struggle anymore. And I watched her grades go from 70s to 90s and just be the intelligent kid I know she is. And it's such a weird thing to watch somebody just click. And like, I felt it in myself. And then watching my daughter just click, it was the weirdest fucking thing in the world because I was like, you're so much better now. Like, I can tell you to go clean your room. And guess what happens? Your room gets cleaned. You come downstairs and ask if there's anything else you can do, not sit there and fight and argue and not do it. And, oh, look, let me go clean the cabinet. And then, oh, the baby needed to be played with. And then this and then that. And it's weird. It's so weird, genuinely just seeing somebody click and just, I don't want to say get fixed because it's probably the wrong way to say it.
It's just growth in the correct direction.
Yeah. But like, I understand it feeling fixed because I felt fixed.
Right.
I went from like my mind racing so fast that I can't actually act upon the ideas to going to starting a business with you and Frank and it almost being successful.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little bit of effort from everybody and it would have blew up. And now I'm working on podcasts that are top 200 in the world.
Right.
And what more could I say other than something changed?
Mm-hmm.
The balls that I had reaching out to guests, I guess, got me a job, but somehow I'm able to still accomplish it.
Right. Well, that's right, dude. I think that it's tough for me to say the blaming game is working out for me here. So I will make a point to try to not blame ADD for anything, because that's been the excuse. That's been the reason. That's been the limiter. That's limited me. That's governed
Are
my
you still
behavior.
medicated as an
No,
adult?
no,
Have you ever been medicated as an adult?
no.
To like see if you're able, like, it's weird to portray it this way because I know some people use this as a drug and use it to get high and everything else. I'm not. I use it as it's prescribed and everything else. But it feels like I'm able to use more of myself than what I was before.
So do you think my lack of motivation and my depression that I'm going through would be helped by being medicated?
Do you suffer with racing thoughts where your mind just constantly goes?
Yeah, all the time.
Then yes, you would. Now, is it going to help everything? No. That's still motivation and making sure you do the things that you need to do and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it gives you the tools to be, I don't want to say normal, but well, they say people with ADHD are more intelligent than the average.
Well, one of the
They
things
say that they're more interactive than the average and they're more creative than the average. So if you go through and say, hey, I'm medicated for this and I'm able to take better care of myself, I'm able to take better care of the things that are around me, and I'm able to do the things that I want to do, isn't that a life upgrade, not a life downgrade? To take one pill every day?
I feel somehow like I crave structure so much, and structure is completely out of my life right now.
Yep.
Like, and that's where I'm slacking. I'm slacking in the weights. I'm slacking. I'm slacking with the podcasts. I'm slacking with looking for bookings. Like, it's all of it. I haven't done a bunch of comedy, like a lot in the last 6 months, maybe.
You got to figure out what's you, man. And like, you put yourself in a lot of different baskets and you wear a lot of different hats. But making yourself fall into a schedule and do the things that you want to do fucking helps.
Yeah, I need to not need to. I would like to return to some type of day job. Like every single day routine, figuring all that out. Not that like that I hate this, because I don't hate anything. I'm just gonna say that I'm kind of in a little bit of a tailspin over the fact that like my schedule doesn't. I don't find out what my schedule is until like the day before I need to find out, and that's not doesn't really serve me very well.
No, and it's not going to, and especially with ADHD or ADD, whatever one you have. I think you said ADD.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I've been hyper, yes, but I don't think I count your mind action as hyperactive. I think
hyperactive generally means like you fidget,
bouncing off the walls. Yeah, that was me as a kid.
Like, I have a fidget ring.
Right. Yeah. Right.
That you'll sit here and see me play with.
Right.
The entire fucking time. Like, that's hyper. That's what they consider hyper, is just not being able to control your impulses to do things. And that's the difference, is either it's mental or it's mental and physical. And that's the kind of difference in between them, at least how they described it to me.
Okay. I'm not as educated on that as suppose I could be, and maybe I will be. I gotta open a book on that.
Well, it's weird because having a psychiatrist that calls you every single week to make sure you're okay and just have a 20-30 minute conversation and just shoot the shit and hear what's going on and hear about what your job is and what you're doing and how are the kids, and it gets consistent, and it adds consistency to a life that genuinely doesn't have it when you're a stay-at-home dad, when you're working from home, when COVID's going on and kids are staying home and everything else.
And then you have to be a teacher too.
Yeah.
They should. I think parents should have had parents that had to step up as like the enforcer of the schoolwork. All those parents should have got an additional stimulus check. Like I really think that the things that you had to do, the general you, not the specific you, as parents. Wow, holy cow, you guys are the best. And
we're looking at closing again. I don't know how PA is doing, but New York is fucking horrible. New York is looking at closing again. They just closed all my kids' after-school activities last week and everything else. I wouldn't be surprised if they close before school returns. I wouldn't be surprised.
From the holiday break?
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they're like, well, we're going back 2 weeks on remote. I would not fucking be happy. I would not. Because it's just going to throw my entire schedule out of whack. Yeah. Once my schedule gets thrown out of whack, like, how do you feed a baby when there's a preteen doing schoolwork that has ADHD? How do you knock that kid out of focus to feed a kid, but you also have to feed a kid, which is going to knock the kid out of focus, and there's nowhere else for them to go.
Yeah.
There's nothing more you can do. You can't feed the kid in the living room because that's going to fuck up her schedule. You can't make the kid go in the living room because then she's going to pay attention to the TV.
What room do you record your show in?
The living room.
And she can't do her schoolwork in that
She
room?
has her own computer. She's not using my computer. I got a big fancy setup here with a 32-inch monitor and a 28-inch monitor, and she's sure as hell not going to school on my computer.
Okay. All right. I see. Well,
she has her own nice little Chromebook that she can use.
But can that be sat on that desk?
There's no space.
No space. That's you're non-negotiable on clearing space.
No, it's so compact. Like my desk is a shitty desk from Walmart. It's like $90, and I'm using the back half of my TV stand. And there's no room. Like my tower's on my desk with my keyboard, and then my mouse is right next to it. So even when I'm playing games on PC, I'm cramped. There's literally no space.
Oh, man. Well, we'll laugh about this in 6 months. Maybe.
I will not laugh about it in 6 months if I end up being home from school. Because I'll have 2 kids in school that I have to teach and a baby who can't be around people because of her lung problems.
Right.
So it's not going to be fun.
No. Super respect and love. That's a parent really stepping up, and I can imagine that your kids will very much appreciate it when they're older. Which leads me to the segment that I call audio time travel. So, as a way to put a timestamp on right here, right now, let's think about how this audio, this video, this recording that we're doing right now may or may not outlive us. Most likely, this is on the record now, and it's going to stay somewhere forever. So let's say in about 20 years, your kids stumble across this recording and go, hey, let's see what dad was like on another person's podcast. Let's see what that's like. And they click this. Audio time travel. You're speaking to the 20 years from now versions of your kids listening to this recording. What are you saying?
First off, that's weird. I hope that you guys actually benefited from everything I did because I've worked my ass off. It's weird that just brought up a whole bunch of feelings because on Father's Day, my wife gave me this book and it shows the kids as babies like hand-drawn art all the way up until they're adults at the end. And it says, at some point, Dad, we're going to take care of you like you took care of us. And it's weird because it's like, that is the one thing I never want. I don't want to have to be taken care of.
Right. Well, I think it's a weird way to think about it because I think it can be thought of as like you're too old and fragile and can't take care of yourself, but it's also like they're going to live the type of life where they're going to be able to see you and help you with what you like. Just help you by going, wow, this person's made me proud. That helps me feel like I've done a good job with the last 20 years. Wow, this person now. So instead of taking it and going like, oh, I'm going to have to be taken care of because I'm an old, crippled.
No, just that book brought up those feelings of like,
right.
I'm only 16 years older than my youngest.
Right.
I'm only 18 years older than my middle child, and I'm 26 years older than the baby.
Mm.
And thinking about like them being older is the weirdest fucking thing in the world. Like my daughter the other day, we drove past the school and she's like, next year I'm going to be in middle school. And I'm like what the hell?
Mm.
That's weird. Like, I just want so much for them. You want so much for them. You want so much for these little humans that you teach everything to.
Mm.
And it's like my kids are so fucking intelligent.
Mm.
And I know they are because I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just like you want them to fucking actually achieve something. And I feel like I'm putting them in the position to achieve something. It's just weird thinking of like, what point do you go through and say that everything's going to be okay and not sure if it is? Like, is my current situation fucking up my kids? I have no idea. Is any of the situations that we've been in fucked up my kids? I have no idea.
But that's not something you can really. Every relationship has points that you got to figure out and you got to work through. And if kids can't recognize, they'll eventually go, well, like they did what they had to do was best for them. Yeah. And it was best for us. So what's best for us will be best for them. And I think, when I look at it and I think about like my parents and them being together and stuff, I'm so much better now in the long run, looking back on it and being like, wow, I'm so glad they never stayed together. I'm so glad he got to be there for his other kids. I'm so glad he got to be there. They needed him. I'm glad he wasn't in my life because if he was, I'd be so different. And I wouldn't I wouldn't have the ability to recognize how much better my life is and how grateful I am to my mom for making the decisions that she needed to make in order. She would sacrifice like, all right, well, this could be a comfortable living to a two income household. We have, we live in a nice neighborhood. And then she just was like, oh, we're going to move to a different neighborhood because the way that your father acts isn't the way I want you to see the way a man acts and become that.
And it's weird because I didn't have a dad either. I had a stepdad who was very, very, people would say whipped and just very consumed by doing everything.
Mhm.
So I never had that father figure. I never had that man to show me what to do. And so many people say that it's like instinct, and it really is. It's fucking instinct to be a parent. Either you have it or you don't. You can't be taught how to be a parent. Things get fucked up, things go the wrong fucking way, and you hope that you do the right thing in the end. It's all instinct. It's all impulse. It's all that ADHD going at a mile a minute.
So,
and hoping that you do everything right.
So I think ADHD right now might be the reason if you may or may not have completed your entire message in a bottle in the audio time travel to the kids.
I have no idea. I hope that you guys are good. I hope that you guys are in the right place, because I hope I didn't fuck up.
And thanks for your effort and the currency of your effort to check out Evolving with Corey Castle and Zach's kids specifically, who I'm talking to. Go ahead and hit subscribe or follow the channel so that you don't catch you might catch new episodes in 20 years. I might still be putting out new episodes of the show. I'm definitely,
and that's even if YouTube's still around.
Yeah, I mean, but wherever podcasting exists, I'll be still doing this. Even though here I am sitting talking about how unmotivated I've been, I still plan on doing episodes until I'm dead. I want to do this for the rest of my life.
Yeah, me too.
Whether they go somewhere or not, or if people, if I get a large audience or not, that's the point of me beating the drum every episode, because that is consistency. The consistency is this will remain in my life, because if it continues to have like nobody ever watching or listening, maybe one day someone will be like, "Oh, this is a cool guy with his drum. Stay consistent."
Exactly.
So I'm sticking with it, man. I'm just having a little obstacles. I'm having some speed bumps.
And that disconnect is one of the things that can make you so much stronger. I've taken 2 breaks, 3 months long each, one this year, one last year. And if I didn't innately put myself in that position to where I took a break, I probably would have just overworked myself, stopped caring. The quality would have went to shit. Sometimes you just need that break, or you need that person to pull you out of it. And sometimes it's just not readily available. Sometimes you don't have a co-host that can do that for you. Sometimes you don't.
I'm going to say you were that for me. You were that for me today. I have to say, you were that. So grateful. Grateful. Thank you. Very, 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 very much respect and love. And that's on the record. So
yeah.
If if in 20 years you're hearing this, know that Zac Brown was highly respected and loved by Corey Castle. Right. Draw it on the heart, carve it into a tree.
Exactly, man. I'm watching the chat just go. I'm watching all my homies sit here and hang out.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
That's right.
See the comments.
Okay. Oh, I can? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I wasn't.
Click comments. All the comments are there for you, brother.
See, I don't be.
That's why you should do them live.
Yeah, I don't be checking stuff like that, because I feel like I'll maybe not give the right attention to who I'm chatting with.
Yeah, but that's the big part about doing it live. If you do it live, you have to be consistent.
Oh.
See, it forces you to be
well,
consistent.
you know how you know how StreamYard gives the option to make your screen bigger. I always make the screen bigger and just have the conversation, and I never have it small enough so that I can see the stuff that's on the side that tells me that people are saying things. So, like, for sure, I'm too distractible. I'm too distractible because I want to make sure
I'm complete train of thought and read the chat.
Right.
I do it all the fucking time.
I'd rather that not be the case. So for sure, I want to make sure we're having that's why that's why I don't mess with that's why I don't have my phone. I'm not looking through my phone or anything while we're recording. Nope, that's not in my hands. I don't want it in my hands because
that's why you see both my hands
because you want to make sure it's in your lap and not in your hands. Because once it's in your hands, you're distracted. You're lost. I watch my girlfriend like waste so much time scrolling through TikTok. I can't do it. I will lose a good amount of my day. I will lose a good. That's what I know. I'm not good at video games, so I just don't play them because I want to make sure my life's productive. I want to make sure I'm doing something that's turning all of the other wheels that need to be turned.
I don't watch TV. I replace that time with video games. So I play way too much. I stream 4 hours a day, 7 days a week, playing video games.
I can't do it. I can watch wrestling. Yeah, that's the biggest nerd thing I've got. I watch tons of wrestling. Like I just that's almost all of what I watch is just watching wrestling. Oh yeah, here I am talking about how I went to the movies and saw House of Gucci, and I we're trying to go to see Spider-Man, and then talking about watching The Matrix. I watched some stuff, yeah, but most of the stuff I'm watching is like SmackDown or AEW Rampage or Dynamite. Yeah.
I haven't watched wrestling in almost 2.5 years.
Is there a good reason for that?
Just like NASCAR, because they're like my childhood things. Mm-hmm. I'll go like through peaks and valleys of watching it, not watching it, watching it, not watching it. And the second it gets dull and I start paying attention to what the fuck's going to happen.
So were you saying it's like NASCAR, like you're also into NASCAR when you were a kid?
Yes.
Or you were saying it's like NASCAR because it keeps going around in a circle?
No, both actually. But
so NASCAR, it's like NASCAR in so many ways.
Yep. I'll watch NASCAR. I'll not watch NASCAR. I'll watch wrestling. I won't watch wrestling. It just goes through peaks and valleys of do I care enough to actually do this? Like I'm subscribed to Chris Jericho's podcast. I'll just stop listening to that too. Like it just a whole lot of I don't give a fuck and I don't have the time to give a fuck. So,
dude, that's how I feel about so many podcasts that I'm subscribed to. When I like see the new list of like new episodes to go today, I'm like, no, I have my few that I like the most that I listen to right now, and everything else is just keeps on updating me that there's new episodes, and I don't care.
That's been weird for me, and like I know a lot of people don't have the same problem, but because of the show I work for, the show I worked for was like 85% of my content.
Mm-hmm.
So before I was streaming, I would listen to Painkiller Already every night without question.
Painkiller RD?
Already.
Painkillers Already.
Painkiller Already. It is a podcast with FPS Russia, Woody's Gamertag, and Mercadurka. It's old school Call of Duty commentary trio of guys that are huge YouTubers that have developed quite a large fan base.
Cool.
And I went from listening to them every single day, listening to their 4-hour-long podcast, to producing the 4-hour-long podcast.
Yeah.
And wow, that's fucking weird because now I have no content
to listen to.
Yeah. Because I'm not going to fucking listen to it again. I'm the first person to listen to it. That's more than enough for me.
Once it's fine. That's like me going back to talking about like listening to my own show. I don't listen to it not because I wouldn't like it. Of course I'd want to hear it if I wasn't me, but if I'm listening back to it, I'm kind of making myself a little uncomfortable at times, and I'm like, I don't know if I don't know. I don't know
like
if I want to.
my voice.
I don't. It's how masturbatory is listening to your own podcast. That's like it's like I'm wearing a T-shirt with my face on it, which it's not something I really want to do. I'm not going to walk through the mall wearing my own T-shirt. That's not.
I'll wear my own T-shirt. I won't wear my own face because that's just weird.
Yeah. Oh, I won't wear something that says my name on it. Like I'm not going to just wear that out in public. Like I guess that feels like a little tooly, and it's strange. Maybe it's just because of who I am or whatever.
I think it's wrestling too, because if you think about it, when you're wrestling, you wear your merch out to the ring. You throw your merch out into the crowd and everything else. Mm-hmm. So when you're used to wearing your merch, you're working, you're doing your job.
I mean, that could be a part of it, but I do feel like it might be. I don't. Let me reword that. I don't want any of the don't wants in my life. I'm not talking about don't wants. But walking around, I want to be who I genuinely am and always have people recognize the sincerity. And sometimes if I walk around and I'm wearing a shirt that says I'm Corey Castle, then I'm not, then I'm a character to them. Yeah. You know, and then a Google search later and they're like, oh, you were in this movie or you're in that movie? Oh man, this is cool. And then a bunch of questions for me. And it's like, oh man, now I look like I'm trying to like fake clout that I didn't need.
But I also think that it's kind of weird. And this might be a weird, obtuse way to think about it, but this might change it a little bit for you. If I'm going to promote a brand, I kind of want that to be my brand. I'm trying to build something. I want that to be the thing that I'm building, not Nike.
Yeah.
Not Adidas. Not McLovin. I want that to be Zach. I want that to be Real Men Talk Shit. I want that to be what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
So I buy a lot of my merch. I wear a lot of my merch.
I bought an Evolving with Corey Castle shirt on my ProWrestlingTees.com website.
Yeah.
And I wore it once. So there's the ad. That's growth.
Exactly. But I don't think it's douchey as long as you're not being like, look at me, I have a podcast.
Right.
That would be douchey. But if somebody's like, dude, where the fuck do you get that shirt? And you're like, it's my merch. Like, nobody else is going to buy your merch unless you actually get it out there.
Well, it's not, I guess it's not, it's an artist rendition of my face, the logo for the podcast. So it's not like, oh, you can clearly tell that's me.
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe it's not as douchey as somehow also when I came up in wrestling, it was whatever mark shit you had about anything you liked. Like, so let's say I watched WWF at that time, and let's say I loved Triple H and I wanted to wear a Triple H shirt, or I wanted to buy a Triple H shirt. Can't do that. That's too marky. Once you look like you're a mark, you don't belong in the ring with the workers. So it's like you belong on that side of the barricade if you're going to be a little mark. If you're going to be one of the fans, just go be one of the fans. Don't be one of us, because we're on a different level. And I feel I guess that somehow, like,
you stuck that to yourself too.
Yeah, I think that buried into my subconscious mind so hard to not be the thing that I was told to not be. Like that, like somehow being a mark in the early 2000s was a way different thing than being a mark now. Like, as far as like the amount of respect that it would get, because it didn't get any.
Now you have the smart marks that get all this fucking.
Yeah, that is a whole world that exists now, and it doesn't matter now. But back then, it mattered big time. Like, so I just as an adult, I bought an Austin 316 shirt because I could never have one back then. I could never have one when I was a kid because I would be too marky. Yeah. It would, and I got an Iron Sheik shirt, and I've been wearing that. I'm going and living through my mark. I got a Cactus Jack shirt that I'm wearing. I was like, oh, I always wanted to wear one of those. So,
dude, you want to know what shirt I want to make? I do all my own merch. You know this, but I probably should preface that. Mm-hmm. I want to make an NWO Real Men Talk shit shirt.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That branding would look sick as fuck.
Mm-hmm. Brown, 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 brown. Yeah. Every once in a while.
Yep.
You just gotta break out. I want to get an NWO shirt. I would like to have an actual NWO shirt because I've always wanted one.
Just wear it to the ring. You'd be like, you're restarting the New World Order.
No. Dude, I did a show once in West Virginia where they had. Do you remember there was an NWO pay-per-view, like a full NWO pay-per-view called Sold Out? Yeah, and they had the ring was an NWO ring.
Yep.
I did a show in West Virginia in that ring. They had
cool as fuck.
And it was so stupid. I was like, why? And nothing about the show was NWO-y except for the fact that Buff Bagwell was there, and Buff Bagwell would wear NWO shirts, and he had his faction of dudes who weren't in WCW, but they would be in the NWO at that company.
Yeah.
And I mean, I only went to two of the events, but
do you know what he did after wrestling?
Buff Bagwell?
Yeah.
Personal appearance? I don't know. What does he do?
It was a male gigolo.
Yeah, so that's what I meant by personal appearances. He was an escort. He was an escort or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You gotta do what you gotta do, man.
No, it's just interesting. Like, I remember.
So it's a strange.
I remember my cousin like falling in love with him, and I thought it was hilarious. And then I messaged her like maybe 2-3 years ago. I was like, "Look, now you have your chance with Buff."
Yeah, I mean, he's always been a polarizing figure. I don't think. Well, I have a policy, and I don't know if we've ever talked about this. I don't know if I've ever talked about this on anything, but whenever I'm on a show or at a show, and like there's a name there, somebody who's been on TV, like I don't care. Like I don't talk to them. I don't care. Like everybody else is too busy trying to go grab a picture with them. I'm like, I'm not gonna be a little mark like that. Maybe I'll say what's up or whatever, but I'm not trying to like give all of my attention to getting like some acknowledgement from them because like they're gonna forget I exist seconds after they meet me. And I
wouldn't try and get like a picture, but you're developing a podcast.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, connections that a lot of people would love to have.
I haven't been on any shows with any names in a while.
I'm just saying, like,
right, yeah,
just reaching out and being like, "Hey, man, I know you probably get millions of these. I get about 50,000 interactions a month. I would love to have you on my podcast. I'd love to shoot the shit with you. I'd love to hear some of your stories. You don't have to if you don't want to, but I think you're a really cool dude." Just end it there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'd be reaching out to everybody.
I think a good amount of my career, when I've been on names that had or shows that had names on them, I didn't have a podcast. And I think back on that before me era, before the podcast era, that version of me was so quiet about everything and didn't share like my zoomed out views on anything. I just really kind of stuck to myself and like, and I kind of have a weird pride thing in that, like, most of the people that I talk to in my life aren't wrestling people. Most of the people I hang out with the most aren't wrestling people. And that's that's weird that I have a pride in that, but like wrestling people are carnies, dude. And some of them are real scummy. And I rather, keep wrestling at a show. Like,
Exactly.
we'll be friends at the show. Yeah, sure. But like, you're going to wind up
into this friend circle.
You're going to wind up asking me for money. I don't want to have that. I don't want to have that occur. So I'm going to make sure we're just
we're acquaintances.
Yeah.
But if you want to break into this friend circle, you got to do a lot.
Right. Yeah. Okay. We're on a bunch of shows together, but like, you're still hitting me up asking me for money. Get out of here, dude. Like, go ask somebody else.
It's weird.
I got a message on Facebook Messenger yesterday.
Yeah.
And it was like, yesterday was Christmas Day. And I got a message from this kid who was the son of a promoter that I used to work for in Reading, PA, like 2006 to 2009, maybe.
Yeah.
And he messaged me and he was like, "Hey, you got Cash App?" What? No, what's up? And he's like, "Oh, I just need $20. I'm like, get out of here. No, like, I haven't talked to you in 10 years, 10, maybe 10, more than 10 years. And I don't really know you that well. We're peripherally this promoter's son. Get out of here, dude. Enjoy being left on red, mister. I'm not even interacting with you."
Exactly. I can't stand when people ask for money. I really can't. Because of my childhood, so many things have been burnt, and asking for money is one of them. Mm-hmm. It's like, I would rather starve myself than ask you for $5.
Yeah, I'm not one who would sit and beg. Like, I was saying to myself when he sent me that, I was like, how many other friends does he have that he burnt out requesting money from them? Or is he asking everybody for $20 at a time because he doesn't have the shame in like, well, I can't take care of my own shit?
Like, I think of it honestly this way, is like, if I ask you for money, it's probably going to be a couple hundred, and it's probably because I'm going to be out on the street if I can't.
Right.
Or my power is going to go off, or like I'm having major problems.
Right.
Because I can't fix it any other way.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm going to ask. I'm not going to ask for $20. I can figure out $20. I can sell something. I can do something. I can work my ass off. I can do whatever I need to do to make $20.
Mm-hmm.
Making sure there's dinner on the table isn't hard. It's the more crazy things that might pop up. That's like, my car broke down. I need a fucking tire. You know what I'm saying? It's like the stupid things that you don't expect. You don't ask for $20 because you can't get to work. You should be able to figure that out. You're a man.
Yeah, dude, figure something. Like, how have you made it to this point in your life? That's what, like, I always want to ask, like, why are you here at this point in your life being somebody who hasn't figured this stuff out?
If you're asking for $20, then you should also understand that you can buy a package of ramen for $1.49. Mm-hmm. Eat the fucking ramen. Your $20 that you were going to spend on food. I have
this is a true story, but it's a story. I've never done it on stage, but it's definitely something like I've thought about tons of times. I was outside of a comedy club that I had just performed at, and this guy came up to me on a bike, but he was coming over and it seemed like he had just seen the show, and he's like, "Oh man, what's going on?" Like, acting like we knew each other, and he's like, "Hey man, the pizza place right across the street, you get a slice of pizza and a soda for $6 or something."
Yep.
And I was like, "Okay." And he's like, you can buy it for me. You can watch me buy it." Like, I was like, wait, what? So you're asking me for money, and I'm caught off guard thinking that you're like coming and go like, "Oh, well, that was good job." But he's really coming up to me to work. to work this angle that he wants to buy a slice of pizza and a soda. And I reached into my pocket and I gave him $5. He said, yeah, well, I said $6. And I said, well, this is the last $5 I have. You could be a beggar or a chooser. You cannot be both.
Exactly. Like it's honestly the truth. It's if you can't figure out what you're doing at night, then you're not doing things correctly.
You've got to reevaluate all of your decisions.
If you have $100 in food, you don't spend it on $100 meal.
Is this still happening?
Yeah, you're still good.
Oh, am I? Well, see, man, I made it big again and stopped paying attention to that because I don't want to rob you of the attention that you deserve.
You're good, man. You're good. The most recent question that you've had was, did you meet Mark Wahlberg on the set of Shooter?
I didn't. I met him on the set of Invincible, which was like 2 months before that. It was also in Philly. And once again, the same policy I have with being on shows with names, like I don't mark out. I don't, that's not. Yeah. So it was just like hey, what's up, man? Whatever. And just like one of those little hellos. But it wasn't, I didn't like meet him. Like we're not pals. But I didn't see him at all the day that I did the Shooter. I was only there for one day, and it was a big crowd scene. And I don't remember seeing Mark Wahlberg there at all.
The only movie that I've ever been close to being a feature in was War of the Worlds, which was filmed literally in one of my hometowns in upstate New York.
Mm-hmm.
It was filmed literally. They ran past my old house. Mm-hmm. And other than that, that's as close as I've got.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, they filmed my house.
Yeah,
when
that's
I
rad.
didn't live in it.
Well, had you lived in there, you could have ran out of the house. Ah, aliens! Ah,
exactly.
Do you ever watch like the background actors in the background and see like what decisions they're making?
No, I haven't.
Oh man, some of them are so thirsty to be on something that they'll like overact. I get cracked up by watching the background actors and stuff.
The best ones for that, and this is a stupid thing to do, but watch the police and newscasts for like the riots and all that stuff. You'll see all these fucking idiots jumping out behind the camera and dancing and everything. It's like, make up your mind. Are you angry or are you happy the news is here? Which one is it?
Follow me on Twitter, yo.
Cash at me $50. Did you ever hear about that guy? There was this guy at I think it was a college football game, and he had a sign that said, cash at me $5. Here's my cash app. And he made like $50,000 from people just cash apping him $5.
Okay. Good for him, dude.
Let's see if I can find it.
It's a creative hustle.
Cash app guy. Man asked for beer money on college game day show. Yes, I was right. And then he ended up getting a sponsor. His name was Carson King. Donations to Carson's project are at more than 96,000, and it doesn't include the pledges of matching funds from Bush or Venmo. So he covered beer for the rest of the year.
Mm-hmm.
He was receiving more than $400 an hour.
Good for him.
That's how you fucking do it.
I have to have a breakout like that. I have to have like a moment where like there's like that executed idea that gets seen by the people that need to see it. That's what I just keep on beating the drum, keep on putting the podcasts out, and keep on tweeting stuff, and keep like, even though like I constantly get discouraged by the fact that like, what do I have? I have less than 1,000 followers on Twitter. And then I go like, oh, Google me, look me up on IMDb. I have tons of credits. I've been in tons of stuff. I'm somebody who like has done more work in all this independent like entertainment for the last 20 years. And the following, the opportunity to have listeners who like tune in and like care about what I'm saying doesn't exist somehow. And I get discouraged about that. It's like, am I not beating the drum? I'm beating the drum every day, you know? And that's it will really, it'll really sidetrack my focus a lot on my motivation. It'll make my motivation be for shit.
And I've said this to all the boys that are in the chat. Everybody's heard me say this, so I'm going to say it again. It feels like I'm right at the base of something that's fucking going to go insane. It feels like I'm right there and it's just about to explode. And it's the weirdest feeling in the fucking world, knowing that like the next thing you fucking do might be the reason why you blow up. And you still got to go to work every day. You still got to do everything that you got to do. But one of these days it's going to go boom, and you don't know which day it's going to be. One of these days there's going to be 50, 60 people in my stream. One of these days it's going to be 10,000 fucking views on a podcast, and I'm not going to know what the fuck to do with it. And that might be tomorrow.
So yeah, the stakes now are low, and that's what I've been saying for so long. So like when it comes to having these conversations with me, it's like, what can I offer? What can I offer? I've for sure have a show that lots of big name guests have been on. I've been guests on lots of shows. I'm somebody that people who, if they paid attention to who I am, they'd be impressed.
Yep.
And you're gonna have a like a sincere conversation with me where I'm gonna be as vulnerable as I possibly can be, and I'll ask the same from you, but nothing else.
Exactly.
And to get stats, to check analytics, would all be that all of that was for nothing. You know what I mean? Like I'm wrapping too much worth up in. It's
weird because there's a lot of worth in numbers, but are you sitting in Discord calls, hanging out with dudes that are going to listen to your show and hang out with you? Are you sitting in Facebook groups that will add to your numbers and chatting and helping people grow? It's not hard to figure out what you want to do. It's hard to accomplish it. And accomplishing it is actually going through and doing the things that you need to do that. And it's growing a fan base. It's growing what you need. And it's reaching out and creating a community. So I'm going to offer you, like I was going to on my show, join the Discord. Join the calls that happen every night with the boys and hang out. I guarantee you'll get some fans. Guarantee you they'll sit here and hang out with you if you start live streaming every week. They'll be there.
Right.
Because those dudes are fucking there. That's what they do, is they just hang out, they listen to podcasts, they make money.
I just deleted Discord off my phone.
Discord is fucking fantastic. Discord is more. I never thought I would use Discord as much as I do Reddit, but I do.
Do you know Gas Digital? Do you know that that podcast network? Gas Digital has a show called The Thing Is or something, and I was a guest on that show, and they had a whatever they had they hosted it on Zoom, and like all their like top listeners or whatever were listening in to the show. And then when we were done recording, they just let us sit in there and hang out with all those people on the live, which was, I made a friend. I made a couple of friends in there. And my friend Renee was like running that. My friend Renee, who is also, He's a co-host of the Perfectly Misfits podcast. Renee has on that podcast, his co-host is Dan. And I became such good friends with both of those guys through just like sitting and doing hangouts with people. Like I normally have all the desire and all of the want to do it. And then I work double in a day, and I don't know how consistent I can commit to going, well, I'll be here tonight at this time, or I won't. And I will not be a liar. I cannot lie to my friends. I can't lie to people who trust me.
But growing a group and growing a following is a lot more similar to growing a family or growing people you want to be around instead of growing a fan base. It's not growing a fan base. It's not sitting here and saying follow me or subscribe and like and subscribe and like and subscribe and like and subscribe, because that's never going to fucking do anything. All these people that have like and subscribe in their fucking intro have 70% people that don't subscribe.
Well, yeah, it's strange too, because like I feel like the words like rate, like, and subscribe, like those, that combination of any combination of those words take the sincerity out of the message. And that's like I watched like 9/11 conspiracy documentary or something like that. There was like, well, what about this and all this? Oh, truth bombs at you, truth bombs. And then at the end, be like, don't forget to like and subscribe. Oh, all of this was for clicks. And this wasn't for sincerely trying to help us get the truth. It was for clicks, you know? And I think I automatically was like turned off by the like and subscribe words.
Like I don't say it. Josh doesn't say it. If you support me, you support my content, join the fucking Patreon. Just started. It's a cool group of guys. We're doing hangouts every other week. We're starting a second show, so that way you guys have something to listen to as well. And join the fucking Patreon and come hang out and do this shit and subscribe and watch the show, because showing that you care means more than just being around.
Well, like I equate the, and you know, I've said it to you many times.
Yep.
If you are watching anything or you're listening to anything that I'm in, that who I sincerely am, or who if I'm playing a character in a wrestling ring or on the mic at a comedy show, it's you're paying me with the currency of your effort and your time, which is not something that can be monetized. So how grateful I always am to anybody who's ever willing to pay me with the effort of their time. You know what I mean? Pay me with the currency of their effort and their time. That's why I'm always so grateful to anybody who like reaches out to me later. And I go like on the podcast, if you're going to go ahead and like and subscribe and you're going to catch every new episode, you might as well follow me on Instagram and Twitter, so that like if you want to reach out to me and tell me stuff, let's become friends on Facebook. I'm a real person. If you're going through something and you feel like you need a friend, let me be that friend if you'd like.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I do on Discord. I'm the creator. I'm the one that brought everybody there, but I'm not missing a hangout. I'm in there every night. I'm sitting there chilling with the homies, people that are what some people would consider fans. I'm in there every single night, sitting there hanging out with them. What are you supposed to do? How are you supposed to grow properly? Do you hide yourself, or do you actually grow and become accountable for everything you do and hang out with people that want to have your time?
I want to give you the opportunity right now. On the record, I've now spoken to you about how much I appreciate you and how much love and respect I've got for you. I want to give you this opportunity right now. You can ask me anything you want to ask me, and say anything you want to say to me. This is like your timestamp here for on the record stuff.
Man, I fucking adore you immensely. And like, honestly, you are one of the few people that I've actually grown very attached to in this community of like podcasters and everything else. I wanted to wait until we actually did a show that was going to be up that week because like, I'm going to fucking forget. I'm going to forget that I did a show. I'm going to forget that I had to share it just like you would.
Mm-hmm.
And like, who wants to do a show that's going to go up 6 months from now? If we sit here and talk about Spider-Man, it's not going to fucking matter 6 months from now.
Right. Yeah.
And that's the crazy thing about pre-recording is like you can pre-record a month, but you go much longer than that. You're going to dilute everything that you're doing.
It'll be it won't be timeless as much as you think, and it'll have the timestamps of today on it. But that's what I always think about. I always think about the years going back and listening from the start to now, and see. I will always say if you go back onto Apple or wherever and go back to like the very first episode of the show and follow along that the show is called Evolving with Corey Castle, because you can listen in to who I was then versus who I am now. So the growth of that.
Exactly.
And
I would go through and I would listen to different podcasts and just like experience them. Listen to Impulsive, one of the largest podcasts in the world. See how they interview people, see how they interact with people, and listen to everything. Just expand your palette. Listen to the Dick Show with Dick Masterson. Great fucking show. Talks very similar to the way I do. And just expand how you talk, expand how you interact with guests, expand actually interacting with people that are names that you might be able to get on here. And understand that you are one of the few people that can do this. Not everybody's cut out to do this. There are people that have exploded and they're not able to do this properly. They're not good at it.
Well, I'm the only Corey Castle there is. I'm the only one who's got my perspectives on lots of this stuff. See, that's a lot. Go back to the origin of this show. I probably told you this story, but if I have, I apologize.
You're good.
I'm telling you again. I've been a part of podcasting since 2012. So Rick and Matt Flowers and me were doing a show called Pod Trash. And in that show, it was covering pop culture, pro wrestling, comedy, and movies and TV and stuff like that. And just like joking around, we were doing that. And then we like decided to merge that into a show just specifically about wrestling. So we started calling the show Wrestle Rock. So we do Wrestle Rock, and we'd have to get studio time. The studio time that we got to record an episode a week was 1 hour. So within that 1 hour, we had to talk about the wrestling news from the week, and then we'd have to share our thoughts and opinions on them. But like I never would have the amount of time to talk about who I am and find out why my co-hosts were the way they were. I mean, what had happened in their weeks just to catch up, like what's going on in life. And I knew I was listening at home or at work. I was listening to Mark Maron a lot, the WTF. I was listening to You Made It Weird. I was listening to Joe Rogan Experience a lot. And I was like, none of this. It's like, even though I love Wrestle Rock, I love wrestling, I love the pod, I love those guys, it just feels limited to the fact that I want to have so much more freedom. There's so much things I wanted to say that I didn't get a chance to say, or at the end of every episode, oh man, I meant to say and I totally forgot. And I wanted to give myself the platform, and I listened to You Made It Weird, and it's still my favorite podcast. Pete Holmes in the podcast says, or he tells a story where he was talking to his agent about starting a podcast, and he described it, and the guy said, that sounds a lot like WTF, and he's like, Yeah, it does. But WTF is hosted by Mark Maron and not me. So it would be my version of that. More than one thing can exist. We're not in competition. It can. So I heard Pete say that, and I was like, oh, nobody else has lived this type of life that I've lived. Nobody else has done the amount of things that I've done the way that I do them. So no one else has had this life experience. So yeah, we might as well have a show. And so I reached out to a friend who had a studio that she recorded her podcast at that was more local to me. And I was like, oh, how much does Johnny charge you for studio time? And she's like, nothing. Why? Do you want your own show? I was like, yes, absolutely.
Yep.
And I just started like that Monday. And I'm so happy that I have it. And I'm still doing Wrestle Rock. We're on, dude. We're 6 years in, or
Exactly.
something like that. 300.
My break into podcasting was COD competitive, Call of Duty competitive matches, and just going over them and like a sports center almost. And it's weird. It's weird to know what I'm doing now. If I could only imagine what I'm doing now compared to what I was doing then, where I would be.
What? And also, let's think about how different the podcasts are now that we're I guess the at-home versions of every podcast. Like I definitely I kind of miss being right in the room with somebody and recording and not looking at a screen. It's part of me talking about the structure. And also, like, my eyes hurt. My eyes hurt from staring at this screen.
Turn down your ring light.
It's not the ring light that's hurting my eyes. It's the screen.
I'm so happy I got this lighting because now I can actually turn down my ring light. I have LED strips all around my room now.
Yeah, good.
Just that way I have a nice little bit of lighting.
I got these blue blocker glasses to block out the blue light from the TV or from the whatever the screen you're looking at. I mean, that helps. It doesn't hurt as much when I put them on, but glasses get sucky on my nose, and they don't want to have an ouchy nose. I don't want a boo-boo on my nose. Do you hear these problems? Do you hear these real problems that I have? Real problems having glasses hurt my nose?
Exactly.
The struggle is so real.
It's okay. I'll join you.
I'm grateful. I'm grateful to have that be the problem. Some of my biggest problems. My life's not so bad. My life is pretty rad.
But yeah, I would say keep pushing yourself, keep doing stuff, reach out to people, because the people that will genuinely do a podcast, genuinely sit here and shoot the shit for an hour, 2 hours, there's more than you would expect that will say yes. Take the time and genuinely just ask people, and I'm sure they will. Especially because you are a professional wrestler, because you've been on TV, because you've been in movies. If you're like, these are the things I've done, these are the cool stories I tell, I'd love to hear your stories too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
a lot of them.
I have to really lean into that selling myself thing, and that's the same problem with wearing my own T-shirt, holding my own ladder up. I just part of me rebels against that because being a mark is something that I don't want to be for myself. But I do want to be that for myself. Somehow I'm convincing myself to stop being a mark for myself, when for sure, if I wasn't me, I'd be such a mark for me. I'd go nuts.
Exactly.
I'd want to be me so bad. Or you
have your girlfriend do it.
Okay, yeah, that might bump the views up some.
Girlfriend, produce my show so that way I know I'm getting guests. I need you to email all these people for me and just send a long list of, this is what I've done.
Oh, dude, she's just as busy as me, so I would never
yeah.
ask her to do any of that. She's working so many jobs, and she's subbing for all these bands, and she just took a position in a band as the lead singer. So she's doing that work, man.
Good shit, man. Good shit.
Yeah. Only other thing, man. I'm gonna ask you one more thing, and I'm gonna just send you off into the sunset. Ride you off with a hot dog and a handshake.
Ooh, hot dogs.
Hot dog and a handshake. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the part of the show where I hypothetically have gifted you this show, and this has been your very first episode, the pilot episode of Evolving with Zac Brown. First episode, first guest. How are you in a Jerry Springer's final thought type of way, wrapping it up in a pretty little bow to take it home?
This episode?
Yeah.
There's two dudes sitting here shooting the shit, having some fun. And in the grand scheme of things, who the hell knows where this was going to go or where it was going to be brought. But we at least brought it home. And make sure to check out Real Men Talk Shit. Make sure to check out Corey Castle. He's a cool fucking dude. And there's not much more else to say.
All right, Zach. Now, are you familiar with Alf?
No, I've never seen Alf.
Are you? So, what's your best impression?
I can do Patrick from SpongeBob pretty well.
Okay, now, I usually say toward the end of the show, I usually say, "Be fun, have safe, keep evolving," as the final sign off, as I always do. What if Patrick Star were to do that?
Have fun, keep it safe, always evolving.
All right, thanks so much. You're the best. I love you, man.
Love
Everybody,
you,
thank you for the effort and the currency that you've paid me here today. Be fun, have safe, keep evolving.